Hello, 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 and hello. Welcome back to more Graphite ASMR. Just be fair warning, my rabbit's out and about, running around, and he might be a bit on the chewing side today, so we'll see how much he wants to play, if he wants to play at all. So, I might have to end up throwing him into my room. Oh well. So, we are on to a new piece. I am so happy. I love to start new pieces of art, mostly because eventually, over time, working on the same piece, I eventually start getting annoyed with it, just because it's for how long it takes. Like, the last one I did took, I think, close to 4 or 5 hours. I'm not entirely sure. But I think it turned out excellent. I love the way it looks, more or less in person. It's definitely just because of the nature of the graphite, I imagine. Oh, there's a car. Thank you, Mr. Honda. Train of thought. So in any case, we started a new piece, and I found a square or a triangle, big old plastic triangle measuring tool, that was left over from my dad. He also left like other templates of circle stuff. So I imagine what she used to make draw out ideas, because he would do remodeling, or he would do what is it? What is it? It's why can't I not write? It's a deck. He would also sketch out decks for specific people. I think he only ever ended up making two, but he used to make the blueprint or layout for the multi-layered layout for heating and air conditioning units for loopholes. So, but now he has his own land. He has about 100 acres in Tennessee, which is awesome. I won't tell you where it is, but I just think it's cool. So, in any case, we're on a new piece. I am so happy to be able to do a new piece. I love, mostly because of the fact that I've finally finished the old one. Now we're on a new one. My rabbit is running around my legs. And I get to express a new perspective. So, excuse me. So, what I'm doing this time is I am making a city scene. So a scene of the main city. Hi there, Bubby. The main city, the very epicenter of a show that I'm working on in my head. So it's actually kind of really fun for me, because I get to really I get to build this city completely from scratch, which is so cool. I love it. My rabbit is really getting excited right now, which is funny. He's just constantly running around me. Hi, bear puppy. Good boy. Hi. Good boy. Maybe he's getting. It seems like he's getting excited because I'm actually really excited right now, just because I get to utilize a lot of different things, specifically like alchemy stuff, like old school alchemy, hermeticism, expressing the ideals of stoicism, and I get to literally craft an entire city based off these ideals, and it's just so, like, just in the architecture. So it's really neat for me, because then it like how we expressed it before, where I'm not sure if I expressed it before, but I believe the ability to draw is something very important, because it allows us to fully express an idea. And the better it looks, the more complete our idea of it is. So let's say that's why a lot of artists get obsessed with the human figure, because we are a very deep and complex existence. And when you're on a planet for so long only looking at beings that look exactly like you, you begin to lose the idea that there are other things that very well could exist. But that's why, I don't know, that's two different thoughts trailing into the same thing. My apologies. But we were so obsessed with the human form because we wanted to gain a deeper and deeper understanding of ourselves. And when, of course, like the old saying, learn, there's a set, crap, I forgot what it was. It was a song, it was something the equivalent, like, I'm going to butcher it, but the equivalence was to know oneself, others will be learned from, or so. I don't think that's right. Essentially, it was broken down. Essentially means that those who know themselves greatly, others will learn from. So the more you know yourself, the more people will look to you to learn from you for them to better know themselves. And then you got people like Jordan Peterson that have an understanding of it and an ability to express ideas. That's why I believe art or drawing is very, very, very important, because it allows us to even be able just to merely represent something we see on a basic level, and at one level, sight. And it's very interesting, because, like, let's say, let's go to music. That's sound. So that's also something that's very, very important, and to understand the basics of it, it's very important for someone to also learn like an instrument, because then it explores new avenues of thought and complexities. And when we understand more about the human being, so let's say medically we understand ourselves, philosophically we understand ourselves, spiritually we understand ourselves, and then we get to the ability, that we slowly get the ability to, when learned, so gain more knowledge, we are able to work out more appropriately for our body. We are more, because dietitians only can give you the generality of what everyone is like. If we just are able to listen, to understand ourselves, and listen for the signs of when stuff may be going awry, we'll be able to catch diseases quicker. We'll be able to catch and understand things a lot quicker than we would before, where we'd have to go to a doctor, wait however long it would take in order to see a doctor, unless you pay for extra insurance and you get priority. But if we had a understanding of ourselves, at least on some basic level, that respects some merit, then we'll be able to be at least quicker on treating ourselves. Be able to go to a doctor and be like, I think this might be what it is. Though what's funny is there's also a lot of stories where that is actually the case, where someone says, hey, like specifically with my mom, I think it's happened a couple times, where she would go to the doctor, or it was someone else I know as well. Well, in any case, where they would go to the doctor and be like, this. No. Story time. we got a story for you. I have the perfect example of this, actually. It was with my dad, and he had a tear on one of his heart's arteries. So a flap of skin was hanging down and actually blocking a valve for his heart. Now, the funny thing is, he's still alive, went through all the surgery, and absolutely okay. That's why I say it's a funny thing, so we get the lighthearted, the surgeon that did the surgery on him learned from a training video back in college of my dad's wife's mother. Also had surgery on her heart, I believe. And so the doctor that did surgery on my dad's heart learned from basically my grandmother's or step-grandmother's recording of her own heart surgery, which is just astounding. Like, cosmic coincidences. In any case, let's come back to this. Because of, at least my stepmother, she's a nurse and she has medical understanding. And then also on top of that, also had the gut feeling that there was something more going on here. Because the only things that they would see the doctor, because my dad would begin to have shortened of breath, he would have a chest pain, and it would be harder to work. And as we're contractors, so hard labor is normal. So, actually, it was getting to the point where I had to pick up the slack that what he was doing, which sounds bad, but he physically was incapable of doing more and more, physically incapable of doing less and less and less. And so they ended up going and seeing, I think, 2 different doctors. One was the normal doctor, and the other one was, I forget. In any case, they went to go see 2 different doctors. One said it was something about blood pressure, and the other one said something about, I want to say cholesterol, or it was like health something or another. In any case, they ended up having to go to I think someone suggested one of her friends suggested that it might have been a heart-related issue. And so then they went to a specialist, and finally they found out that it was a flap of skin that was falling down, and if it wasn't for the fact that Lisa's gut was telling her that there was something more severe, like severely wrong with him, I think that's how the story was. My dad would have probably eventually killed himself. Theoretically, not really like by his own desire to kill himself, but his valve of his heart would have blown open. So I'm really a strong advocate for people to continue to learn, to grow, pick up a skill, like gather more information and flex the brain so that when you want to learn something else that might be something else in the future, it would be easier because you're in a state of constantly learning and feeding your mind. But I guess that also requires focus. Because in season 1 of this show or whatever I'm doing, this ASMR stuff, I'm talking about the ability, in the first season, I'm talking about specifically the ability to gain more control over yourself, which is heavily important. Eventually, I'll be talking about focus. another property that I think is very, very important in the ability of gaining self-mastery. Now, of course, you can, let's be real, Jordan Peterson does it far better. Really good. Absolutely excellent. But, I don't know. I just think that if there's more, like maybe some people's rubbed off by the way he looks, I guess, I don't know, or the way he sounds or something, that they need someone else. They would like someone else to talk. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. I just know that I'm doing something. Plus, also, it gives me an excuse to sketch, so that's what I like doing. But, yeah, so I apologize. I actually eventually think I fixed the camera, because it was, for some reason, falling out of focus, even though it's a manual focus. Oh, and by the way, I ended up ripping right through all of that pencil. In a serious amount of sketching I did today. Plus, on top of that, I have to keep the pencil sharp because I am also doing it again. I am going to push myself to create as good of a piece as I possibly can. I'm also kind of doing this because of the fact that I have ambitions of having people the people around me, I want them to start trying to do more for themselves or try to be better and be more pushed into the direction of desiring to better oneself. Mostly because I can't help but keep thinking about it. Like it's an all-consuming sort of desire to change myself for the better constantly. Like every day I'm trying to become better. I'm learning more things. Going into just whatever area I feel like exploring information. Like one day I'll start looking up what I started looking into what the human skeleton looks like, what it actually looks like, and started looking at the different bones, and for a second there I obviously stopped, but I could always go back to it, of just learning what all the bones are. And like, it may not actually do anything, oh well, but it's fun. I just want to learn things. And the biggest thing I want to talk about right now is just that it feels like there's this wave of people desiring to become better. And it's really wild because it's from all walks of life too. And it initially started with it was me and two of my closest friends. We started exploring more deeper and philosophical questions about ourselves, what we're doing, and whatnot. And of course, we smoke cigars, we drink whiskey, we enjoy, me and my one friend that lives with me, we enjoy classical music. There's one time we found ourselves listening to classical opera. And I was looking into what are the merits of a good opera so we could appreciate it even more. And it's funny because it was actually a fun experience because we were able to sit there and watch a play and listen to music at the same time. And it was the big guy, the one really big guy. We were watching one of his... Now, of course, I forget some of the terminology, but the one scene of the opera, and it was interesting. We obviously didn't speak Italian, so we couldn't understand what he was saying, but you could infer things from the body language. So, which actually another YouTube channel that I like watching is Body Language Ghost. They do it's this man and woman that I guess the one watches body language and teaches, actually they do courses on how to read the body. I basically was capable of picking up what I needed to know from their YouTube channel. So watching the face, watching how you hold, how you posture yourself, where are your hands, where are you looking when talking about certain things. And I'm not talking about if you're looking right, you're lying, or if you're looking left, you're telling the truth. Though there's a very small percentile of actually being accurate, if I remember correctly, but you have to take that information with other different key pieces as well, like, are they leaning forward? If they're leaning forward, they're trying to sell you something. If they're waving their hands a lot, they're trying to, like if they're talking with their hands, but they're stiff in the body, they're trying to sell you something. Or what they're talking about might be deceiving, if, like, let's say a politician. But if their body is swaying with how they move their hands, like if their hands move around with their body, they probably are being genuine in what they're saying. And so, let's, hold on, I think I may have been in the middle of the thought. I have to pause it occasionally, because right now it's allergy season, and quite frankly, it's not very pleasant on the nose, if you know what I mean. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is, but it's just a little bit of it's changing the season, I guess. So, in any case, I have to, blow my nose, and obviously that's not conducive to recording. So, right now, as far as in the sketch that I'm doing, so I discussed earlier that this is the main square, or it's actually the main square of one side of the main city, which what I'm working on right now is supposed to be the statue of, I forget what, it was the man holding the world on its back or whatever. I thought it was really neat, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually thinking about taking all of the ones that I did, slapping them on top of each other and shortening them down to 20 minutes. So you see it really fast, me just sketching crazily fast. I think that'd be actually kind of fun. And then to do music on top of that, or do a podcast or something, I'm not sure. Do a podcast that commences after the finishing of one of the pieces that I'm working on. And it's hard to walk through everything that I'm doing, because I'm just pulling this world out of my head, slapping together a lot of different things that I'm aware of, and I understand. Maybe not that I could, maybe some stuff that I can't express too well in words, but I can express well enough in sketching something. See, I'm not a virtuoso when it comes to speaking or using literary influence, if we will. Though I do, there's Jordan Peterson, I believe, is coming out with software for people that want to be better writers, that they would be able to use that, which I'm looking forward to that, because I would like to be better at expressing my ideas onto paper or print. Mostly because I find that it's the area in which I'm lacking the most in. Hi, Bubby. And so I think we should be willing to look at the areas that we are weak and start training it, start working on it. Right, buddy? Yeah. Right, buddy? Yeah. If you're bad at something, work on it. Yeah. Let's say you don't know anything about cars. It's a good idea to learn something about cars then. It's pretty easy. Normally it's the, oh, I have no idea what that is and I don't care sort of attitude ends up leading us more and more down a path of self-decay. It's weird because it's the instances in which when we learn new information or develop a skill that we didn't have before, we feel the best about ourselves. Some would refer to this as heavenly. But as we lay there in our bed, sulking over the idea of having to get up and go to work, do we find ourselves in a state in which we curse the idea of being alive? And the matter in which you look at life, one of those two things can easily be a lens you can look at, that you can look through. Either see a world that is pleasant for you, pleasant to work with, or you can look at a world of difficult trials and just mere tribulations, things that have to deal with, burden. You begin to pseudo-resent the life that you're living, and it's not conducive towards the reason why we exist. It's amazing. Maybe it's just as simple as the reason for us to exist on this planet is to grow. That's why we start off as a child, a seemingly impressionable existence, but already comes with a deep level of complexity that makes one child different than another. We can find the similarities of ignorance in it, or similarities of ignorance among all the children. But the thing that's interesting is even then, when you break away all the complexities of an adult towards the idea of being a child, I think you find a lot of very interesting nuances about human beings that we overlook. For instance, when I was born, I was a very quiet child and did not speak till about 5. My mother would attempt to try to get me to speak by coursing me with a cookie. I would stick my arms out, and she would say, "Cookie, you don't get a cookie unless you say cookie, cookie." I would then put my arms down and then walk away. And I imagine this infuriated my mother. And plus on top of that, they also had it being non-speaking is a sign of some autism or cases of mental issues. And so they went and got me tested here to find out that I didn't have any mental issues, but was extraordinarily gifted in ways of imagination. In fact, actually, I was extremely average when it came to everything else. But when it came to the ability to, I think it was to put blocks, I think it was like a test of putting blocks together and arranging them in specific ways. I'm not sure. It's so long ago. I remember the hearing test, and that was it. But they concluded that, and this is their idea of what an IQ is, but apparently I had the IQ of like 136, which then of course my father was tested too, and he came out to about like 138, and so it's amusing. I'm not entirely sure what the average level is, but I also don't like the idea of measuring intelligence based off certain tests. I think people can gauge that just by looking at someone, and it's pretty easy to determine. No, I think it's better if we're looking at it as is someone willing to learn or not. Now, some people would claim that some people might have a more difficulty learning in certain areas than others, and I agree. But it also could be broken down to in a method of how we learn. And how interested are we in topics? Now, when you get into a certain point of researching into more spiritualism, when you start researching into more areas that are like obtaining more self-mastery, you begin to appreciate human beings on a deeper and deeper and deeper level. Probably because the more information you get start to reveal more and more of how the world works, because you are beginning to understand yourself. And when, as far as the Christians would say, it is to understand us, the human being, is to understand God, as we are made in His image. Others would say to understand oneself is to gain mastery of oneself, and then ergo to learn how to exert the proper will and balance upon the world, and in a measured response. I guess, like the Buddhists, it's a matter of balance and one with nature. The nature of humans and balance with the nature of ourselves. Though each person does have a particular nature about them. Sort of why all main characters exhibit the same extroverted traits, the ones that, why all antagonists and protagonists usually follow the same ideas, or the idea of how these people would end up being, or they just end up being the same because it was sort of like a copy of another show. But you could even I think there's I forget who made the book, but it was The Hero of 1,000 Faces or something like that, which actually detailed and outlined the hero's journey that is part of how our imagination is. Like, that is like a common theme of how our mythos normally works out and whatnot. Look up The Hero of 1,000 Faces. I think that's what the book is, so it would probably be better than just me pseudo talking about it with a limited intellect of it, because I would have to read it myself. But so coming back to it, this is actually a pseudo scenery piece that I'm working on to have a fuller understanding of my show that I'm working on right now, which actually this is a show that I was working on since I was 15. And I had the basic concept of it in my head, but I couldn't figure out what the placement of the area was. But right now we're watching Soul Eater, so I'm getting a really good, because that show is absolutely fantastic when it comes to world developing. Only in certain areas, like you have Death City, they develop Death Cities very, very well. They animate the scenery very, very well. The only issue is they don't take enough time. It needs a second season, or it needs to be extended, or get the Brotherhood treatment, because that is such a good show. It is absolutely fantastic. There's also, like, the very beginning of it basically was a sound soul comes from when a sound mind is and has a sound body or something like that. A sound soul. Whatever. But there's a lot of good information from that show. And I am actually going to have a lot of... It took me twice as long to watch the first episode because I kept stopping it, rewinding it, and watching how many frames are going at one time, or how much animation is going on at one time, and how the beginning fight scene was so well choreographed. Oh man. We only see some of this detail in movies, and they took the time to, especially since I'm actually researching how anime is even made in the first place, because I have my sights set on starting some means of making anime, I guess. Even if it's crap, I don't care. I want to do it. It seems like fun, and the idea is such a fun idea to play with. But so, I figured whatever, let's start learning how to make an anime and see where I have to start at. So I'm going back through some shows that I really, really enjoy, and I'm sort of picking out key details now that, because I'm rewatching it with more of a understanding of how it's made. So I'm able to pick out certain details that to me shows how well it's being crafted, especially when you start understanding the rule of third, when you understand how many frames, how much work it actually takes in order to make certain scenes, and you get to watch this unfold, and it's absolutely amazing. Now, another show I have to end up watching is Demon Slayer, just because of that show was... I remember we made fun of it the whole time, because we thought it was funny, especially when the one vampire's head got kicked off like a football or something like that. It's just silly. But the whole art of the combat arts was actually entertaining, and it was visually appealing. So right now what I'm showing is that I'm just trying to get the basic ideas down on... Sorry, we're going back to the drawing. But right now I'm trying to get down to basic ideas of how the city will be set up, or this specific view. I also gave a bit of a scale of a little stick figure and how big all these buildings are. I also thought it would be interesting and fun to play with the idea of having to accommodate not just average human height of about 6 foot, so like 8 foot high ceilings, but also be able to accommodate beings that are bigger than that, so like giants. or some people would refer to them as Nephilims or whatever. So it would be fun to figure out how to sketch that out. Where exactly would the doors be? How would the walls look in order to get this appropriate? So I just like, yeah, it's basically like, whatever. Let's have fun with it. Let's really like push our limits here. So I'm right now 3 hours deep. Well, technically, after this, 3 hours deep into this piece of work right now, and all you are is seeing 1 hour of it. So I'm really excited for this. This is gonna be a fun one, because I can then take this piece and then use it, and then I can do another piece from another angle of the city. Oh, I am so excited. Oh, I gotta start. It's just, it's gonna be fun. So, let's see what else. I'm enjoying the, I don't know what else. I'm just enjoying myself right now, I'll be honest with you. I just feel incredibly positive. Really just kind of happy right now. It's wild. And it's like work's picking up a little bit right now, so like tomorrow I gotta go, and so the place that I do work for, I maintain their building. So what these people thought was a good idea was to stack too much weight on a shelf, and the shelf got ripped out of the wall. So I gotta go there tomorrow and put it back up. But it's funny because of the nature of my job, I get to charge like $25 an hour, and then I get to choose when I work. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, to adhere to my upload schedule for the ASMR stuff, I get to then choose on Tuesdays or Thursdays to work as a contractor. And if I need be, I just I work in the morning for. Unlike today, I specifically I took a lot of time in the recording of my videos, playing around with this idea. So I now have like 3 hours of recorded footage, and I'm using an hour now, so I have 2 hours to play around with for Friday and Monday. But maybe because I got this uploaded today, tomorrow after work, I take like another 4 more hours and put more time and effort into this. So then I'll have backup video. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe this is like stuff that most YouTubers are probably aware of or used to, or content creators are used to doing this. Me personally, I've never done this before, so it's kind of funny. Yeah. So what I got right there, I got the man that's holding the world on the back, and then I have a snake that's coiling himself around it, like threatening to take the world or whatever. And it's pretty cool. I like the idea. There's a lot more there's symbolism that goes into that. And then later on, I end up changing, because I have it as the planet right now, but I'd end up changing it later on, because there's more I added to it that has more and other meanings. I put the sun and the moon into it just to represent the balance of day and night. Got the good men keeping the world out of the clutches of the snake. that's willing to swallow that world whole without a second thought. I got a really neat perspective of part of this building, but also this whole inner square or inner center of the town. So cool, so cool. It's so funny because I'm watching myself do this, and I already did it, and now I get to sort of express my ideas of like what's going on in this. I'm also hiding different areas that have written script on it, which is really neat. That has, say, something in Vatanian, which is a dead language that I basically learned how to convert English into. Now it's not perfect, but whatever. Yeah, so really like it's funny because I also, before I started recording this audio, I ended up working out. So it's day 3 this week, and then I got to work out tomorrow and then Friday, and it's really interesting because I've been adhering to my workout schedule of trying to work out Monday through Friday, and I'm starting to see results of it, and it's really fun. What was also making me ill is starting to subside after about a year and a half, so that's fun too. My workouts are actually I had to get up on a ledge, so there was this table, one of those fire pit tables at the restaurant that's owned by one of my customers. I had to get up on one ledge because all the outdoor lighting, all the arms holding up the string of LED lights got ripped out. The arms got ripped out of the brick wall, which is actually going to be really easy to put back up just because the holes are still intact. There was 2 bricks that were ripped out of the other side. And so I'm going to have to put them back. That's going to be fun. And then I have to take the screws off the plate that holds the arm against the wall and pound the metal back out to being flat so I can put it back up again. Oh well. I think what ended up happening is as those bricks ended up sticking to the wall hangers really well and actually pulled out with the wall arm. And all the other so there's 2 bricks also attached to this these wall hangers. And they ended up actually coming out intact, so it's not like I have to drill new holes into other brick, which would have been nightmarish. But, yeah, so I'll have to put that back up. Oh well. The good news is that he doesn't have any sort of time frame for me to finish it, so I have, it's just the weather this week has been so all over the place. Just a couple seconds ago, the sky was darkening and looked like it wanted to rain and just start dumping buckets of water. And now it's just going back to normal. So, yep, weird weather patterns. Yeah. So, but yeah. So, you know what? Actually, I just I'm curious. Okay, that never ended up actually working out just because of so I was wondering, I'm running out of things to talk about because I didn't really plan this out too well, but I need to figure out how to speed up my video. I'm not joking when I tell you I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm having to learn all of this video editing, audio editing, camera work. I have to become a producer and editor and all this stuff. Well, I'm just a contractor. I hang stuff up. That's about it. And I can do your plumbing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Not safe for kids. I'm not. I'm joking. Wait, buddy. Okay. So I'm having to learn a lot of new skills, which, quite frankly, I'm actually okay with, just because it's a lot of skills that are needed. If you have ideas and you want to express those ideas, and you're not good when it comes to writing things out. So, but eventually I will improve enough so that I will be able to just type things out and have my ideas out on paper, and then maybe I inspire someone eventually to be better, or to inspire someone just to pick up a number 2 pencil and just start sketching something out. And it's just a matter of going into something without fear. Just say whatever. Just go spearhead your own life, I guess. Watch Jocko Willington if you need to. This is what I feel. It's weird. I don't know why I'm doing this so much so as it feels like this feels right. This feels where I should be. This is what I should be doing. Versus going to someone's house because they haven't changed the gaskets in their, or not gaskets, they haven't changed, the gaskets of their toilet, so now their toilet's leaking all the time. And of course, my skills are useful, but it's boring. I just want to do something I enjoy. And I've always had a childlike enjoyment when sketching something. So, hopefully I'll make a living however I need to doing whatever I feel like, because I am a contractor. It's actually kind of funny. I worked for an electrician, and it's really weird because he said the one day he gets really annoyed with contractors because he, as an electrician, had to get certified for his field. A contractor just kind of says, "Yeah, sure, I'll try." And a contractor, now, you run the risk of running into ones that will do work that they have no idea what they're doing and will mess things up. That's always a possibility. But then you get the ones like my dad, that no matter how difficult the challenge was, or how much of, there was a lot of times where he basically had no idea what he was doing, looked at just that night, researched what he needed to, and just went and did it. So I want to take that mentality towards this. And then, oh, buddy, so sorry, 1 second. Had to give Bubby some attention. I gave him some treats. It's okay, Bubby. There's one of these videos I end up putting my cell phone in front of the camera to show my rabbit. He is so cute. I love my rabbit. So, gang, you run the risk with a rabbit of it chewing on every cardboard piece around around your mic. So, I have to put him in my room. Hopefully, he doesn't scratch at the bottom of the door and do any sort of. He has small claws, so it's not like he can actually do any real permanent damage just playing around. But, yeah, so I'm really enjoying the ability to take the time, do some sketching, relax, listen to my Northern Spirits, or Northern Spirits, by the way, is a Spotify playlist of very Celtic, Germanic, sort of more on the tribal music. It's really enjoyable. Kind of hits a string with me, like resonates really well. So it's fun to sketch too, especially when I draw the old man faces. But right now I'm enjoying myself some like the Beatles playlist as well. So kind of listen to music that reflects your mood. Allows you to get into a more inspirational level, or a level of inspiration to do your art. Allows you to pull from that sort of those thoughts. I guess that's what Da Vinci did when he made art. If he had the ability to have Spotify, I guess. Actually, it's funny because when I was in high school, which, by the way, the only piece I'll give is I graduated in 2011. So I was nominated for the next Da Vinci in my high school, or the person to become the next Da Vinci. You know, this high school, everyone in your class votes on specific traits or whatever, like who's going to be the next president or whatever. I ended up becoming me among like 3 other people. Ended up it was 2 boys, 2 girls. I was one of the 2 guys, and I don't know why. I didn't talk to any. Like normally those kind of things end up becoming like some sort of popularity games. At least I always imagine them to be some sort of popularity game. So I never really cared about them. I don't even have a yearbook. Like I never bought a yearbook because I just don't care. And it's funny because I can look back at it now and like be like, yeah, I was voted for next Da Vinci or whatever. I don't know. And I guess like some people on YouTube find that interesting, just to learn more about other people, I guess. So hopefully me disguising this as a ASMR channel as an excuse for me just to sit in front of something and just talk endlessly about whatever. I was originally thinking about putting doors on those windows, but not doors, like but I thought having them as an open cathedral look, not putting stained glass in there. Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I'll erase a little bit of it and put those stained glasses that have wire going through it or whatever. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look up some stuff. In any case, we're getting towards the end of this video, and I am so happy that if you are hearing this, you made it through me rambling on about almost at this point nothingness, because I can't really remember what I was talking about. But yeah, I am so happy that you're here. I'm really excited to work on this next piece. So everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye, and Godspeed.